Hi, John. Good afternoon.
Hey Tom, how you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you. So let's just start out. What's the personnel situation between injuries and the transfer guys? Who's available tomorrow?
Um, Joachim is the only injury that we sustained from the last game that is not available for selection tomorrow. Uh, Girdwood-reich, Teukert are both available.
And so does that mean Hartle's not available?
I mean, we're still trying to get him here by game time, but it's close. So I don't want to. At the moment, it's not looking great, but you never know. Again,
It's like the
this is a Lutz one. Like Lutz he'll do everything to try to make sure that he's here. So we'll see.
it's like the airline adventures today have a problem. You get stuck, somewhere.
Yep. Yeah, it doesn't help when you're trying to get somebody from Germany to Kansas City. It's not easy, but you have to deal with it. So.
So with Tiger, not to put much pressure on him, but what do you expect? What kind of impact do you look for him in this first game?
Look, he's been here and he's been training and preparing, and he's been really, I think, good in training. He's been really anxious to get on the field and represent the club. So I'm looking forward to having him available because he is a difference maker, and so I would expect him to feature at some point tomorrow for sure.
Go ahead, Santi.
Hey, coach, with the position both teams are right now on the table and the number of games left, does this feel to you like a playoff game?
It feels like it's a must-win for both teams. I think them being our arch rival, this would always feel that way because of the pride factor and what it represents in the state of Missouri. So, we have to approach it with that kind of attitude. But if either one of us wants to realistically have a chance of making the playoffs, this is a must-win for both of us.
And you experienced these games last year as an assistant coach. Does it feel like the rivalry has been building, and do you guys see it as a different game?
Absolutely. Santu, especially with the fans that travel, if our fan base brings the energy and noise that they brought last year here, I mean, it's an amazing atmosphere. And I remember, last year when we were just walking across the field after the game, Peter Vermees was saying, "Hey, this is fantastic. This is what this sport needs in this country," and it's true. It's you have both fan bases, very loud and proud, well behaved at the same time. So not a lot of nonsense that we could see from the field, but you could feel the energy. And two teams that were trying to do everything they can to be successful in that game. And again, with the stakes raised to where they are for tomorrow's match, I think that's going to be the same thing.
We'll go to Matt.
Hey, Coach, with the stakes that you're describing, how this means so much to the playoffs, does that add to the importance of getting guys like Toyer and JGR into the game to try and add a spark, so to speak, or add something new given the gravity of the situation?
Yes, Matt, it does. We had there's a little difference between Teukert and Jake. Jake arrived here much later and has had less time to acclimate, and it's been tougher coming from Australia. So, I want to be cautious on getting in the expectations that he's going to potentially play a big role. I mean, he could, and I'd love him to have that moment, but I just need to be careful not to throw him into a situation that he's not prepared for.
And then what kind of role would you see him taking? He talks about himself as a center back, center defensive mid. We know what he's played for Sydney, but how have you seen him slot in so far for City?
We've used him in training in both spots, to be fair. I mean, he is a tough, tenacious, ball-winning player, whether he's playing as a center back or a six. And I like the fact that he doesn't even think about getting stuck in. So that's a nice thing. And, when you're playing in a derby match, what better kind of quality to bring than just understand that it's as much about the competitive mentality in the fight as anything.
Go back to Tom.
On the Toyer front, I mean, what have you figured out is the best way to deploy him with his team? What does he bring?
He's an attacking player, and so with our lack of options in the attack right now, it's our decision to try to find him a spot where he can be the most influential. And so he does have a lot of versatility, and we're going to try to utilize him as such tomorrow. He's going to be important, and if we can get the combinations right between the other attacking players that we put out there, he will certainly add to that. Again, I said earlier, he's very anxious to get out there. He's excited about it, and so are all of us. I mean, he will be a big boost to our attack, and we need it right now.
Looking at the attack, you pick up him. Sam's now gone. If Marcel doesn't get here, you're kind of in the similar, at least numerical situation on what your options are in the attack.
Correct.
So what's that? You got Makai Joyner and Caden Glover in reserve there?
Yep. Makai and Caden, both of them have been fantastic. Again, in training, and you saw when they came in on the field the other night against Seattle, they're definitely willing to put in the effort, and now it's just an opportunity for those two young men to grow and represent themselves and our club. So that's another exciting part right now, is that you're getting teenagers these moments that you can't ever replicate outside of this kind of experience. It's responsibility, but it's also a wonderful opportunity.
Joachim's situation, do you expect him out a long time? I mean, League's Cup is coming up, so there's kind of a built-in break. But what's his situation?
Yeah, look, I think I hopefully expressed, my just absolute sorrow for him, because I just feel so bad that he has given so much and then has this reoccurring injury. So it just means that we need to be that much more cautious with him going forward. And an athlete like him, he does everything in his power to come back. Our medical staff has been fantastic. And again, we thought we were being a little cautious, and it turns out we weren't cautious enough.
So you will err even more on the side of caution now going forward?
Absolutely. I mean, you have to learn from these kind of situations, and I think if anything, I'm self-reflecting on my own responsibility to put a player in potentially harm's way, and with Joachim, I know that I just have to be, I have to take more caution. I have to give it more time than we have, just so that he can hopefully, step back onto the field and play and not be in a situation where he could potentially re-injure the same muscle again.
Does Indy need to wear a mask?
Yes, he does. So I'm going to be watching carefully to see how long that mask stays on.
Yeah, what's the over-unders on the on
I'm not a gambler, so I don't even know how to talk like that. But Gatsby, maybe you can help me out there. Maybe we should put it at maybe 20 minutes, because knowing last year how this happened, that mask came off pretty fast.
Yeah, I'll take the unders on that one. Just the team morale, team mood coming off the Seattle game, and how they looked at it and how that carries over into tomorrow.
It's a really good and interesting question, because it's hard to think that you lose a game and there's an improvement in morale. But I would absolutely tell you that that's what I feel right now. We made positive steps in that game in just coming back together and being a collective and trying to work together and be a team. We got to take those positives. You know, it's not like the guys are fresh and energetic, you know. I mean, we're still trying to get guys ready, but the spirits are good, and I think the confidence and a little bit of the mojo of, you know, knowing that, you know, we had some good things happen in that game, mostly that we tried as hard as we could and didn't worry about the things that we couldn't control, didn't worry about the moments where it didn't work for us, didn't worry about the mistakes. We went on to the next thing, and that's a sign of a team making progress. And so, you know, whether it's me just being positive Pete or not, I don't know, but I feel good about that. And it's reflective on the, you know, when you walk into the meal room in the morning, just got off the training field, had a good session at Sporting's facility. So spirits are high right now.
We'll go back to Matt.
Coach, just to clarify, did Indy have a concussion or was he in concussion protocol at all?
Matt, you have to go into they have to do all of the concussion checks. So if you have a head injury, but he passed those with flying colors, he did no concussion at all. So there's no, the only problem we have with Indy is that he has a broken nose, and if he gets bumped in any way there, it's going to be very painful for him. And if that pain causes him to go down, again, now all of a sudden he has to be checked for possible concussion, regardless of the fact that it could just be his nose. It's a head injury. And that's the thing that, you know, Indy understands, and is going to just have to try to manage to the best of his ability, and us as a staff doing the same thing.
With Chris Durkin out, is it plug and play with Drew Blome, or is there anything that needs to go on at midfield, losing such a stable piece so far?
Yeah, I mean, we have good options there, and Blome is a perfect one. But then you also have Akil Watts and Edu, and with Toiker coming back, you know, it gives us the ability to move some pieces around. So, but that certainly would be the most logical replacement.
And then without getting into a depth chart conversation,
We just did. We just laid it out there, right?
Fair
You
enough,
already had
but
it spelled out, so.
different position then, without going into that necessarily.
Right.
How do you see Andy Marcanic fitting in with the return of Kyle Keeper?
What was the last part of that?
Anthony Marcanic fitting in with the return of Kyle Ebert, who started at left back the other night.
Yeah, look, I give Anthony a ton of credit because I tried to be very straightforward with him and tell him where he was on the depth chart and his role. And I just asked him to accept it and then to try to work really hard to change my mind, change the staff's mind, and really just work on himself. And so he's doing that, and I'm really proud of him for that. That doesn't change where he's at. But, you know, Kyle, he's a very versatile player. So you could see Kyle in a number of different positions across our back line, and that would open up an opportunity for Anthony. So, you know, I like the way that he's approaching this challenge, and I give him a lot of credit for that. So, again, that's a positive for both him and for us.
We got time for two more. We'll go back to Santi.
Coach, on the injury front, how are Klaus and Rasmussen progressing along on their recovery?
Good, but their timelines are still, you know, in the future. So I wouldn't expect to see either one of them featuring, at least in the first two games of Leagues Cup. But they're doing well, but it's just a matter of time, you know. And once you get healthy, you got to come back and you know, return to training, return to play. Those protocols are what they are, and we just have to deal with it.
We got one more if the group has one.
John, with Hartle, is it just going to be like a race against the clock? I mean, before you submit the roster tomorrow, we wait till the very last second?
Yeah, and I mean, we can, we'll list them on the roster already, just with the hope that if, he can get here with 90 minutes before kickoff, then there's a chance. And, we'll be smart with that too, because certainly while I described him as an athlete and his willingness to want to play immediately or at least be available, part of it would be just a boost to have him in the building and to whether that's to wave at the fans or be in the locker room. He's that kind of player and that kind of personality. So we'll see how do we manage that. But it is a little bit of a race against time.
So if we see his name on the roster tomorrow, that does not necessarily mean he's in the building when an hour before the game?
No, I would say if he's on the roster, that means he's in the building for sure.
Okay. All right.
And I just want to clarify, Tom, you're talking about the game day lineup roster that comes out 75 minutes before?
Yes.
I believe Hack's talking about the roster that they submit 24 hours prior to the game.
I was talking about both, Gaspy. So if we put him on the game day roster, it means he is there and ready to go.
Okay. Thank you.
Perfect. Hack, thank you for joining us. Appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Tim, what's the boost the team gets at this time of year when the transfer window opens and players like Cedric and Marcel, if he gets here, become available?
Yeah, I mean, when the transfer window, like you said, we get new players, we get a little bit new life, a little bit new energy, and hopefully, obviously, some quality along with that.
What's it been like having Cedric there, and what do you see from him in practice?
Yeah, he's been good. He's been good to train with. Obviously, he's been getting his feet under him and getting a little bit of fitness in, which is never really fun. But no, it's been good to get training with him and see his habits and his tendencies.
Just coming off the Seattle game, what do you take from that, and how does that help this team going into Kansas City?
Yeah, there were some good portions of that game for sure in terms of defending and how we were able to work as a group. But I think there's definitely a lot more things that we need to work on in order to move forward. And it's hopefully something that we're going to be able to implement against KC. So we're looking forward to doing that on tomorrow.
Go ahead, Santi.
Team, with the position both teams are on the table right now and the number of games left, does this game feel to you as like a playoff game?
I think they all do at this point now. We're fighting for points. We have to really get hot in order to make a run. So I think we have to look at it in terms of all these games matter. Not just this one specifically because it's Kansas City and it's a rival, but moving forward as we continue the rest of the year, they should all matter the same.
And how is Mackay Joyner integrated into the team?
Yeah, he's done well. It's really nice that he was able to obviously come on against Seattle and debut. To be fair, he's only been with us a couple of days now, so he's still a young kid trying to fit into to an older men locker room. But no, he's done well so far.
Go to Matt.
Speaking of younger kids, how has training been with Jake Girdwood-reich?
Yeah, it's been good. It's kind of the similar situation as Cedric. He's gotten to train with us a couple of times. Obviously, with games all in the mix, it's been hard to see a full session underneath his legs. But yeah, kind of the same thing. He has some qualities that we're going to look to definitely take advantage of.
We'll go back to Tom.
Tim, just what's this team obviously hasn't won much lately. It's only one win in the past 2 months. How does the team feel? What is the feeling within this group? Because it sounds like it's been an awkward situation, but obviously the Vancouver game, not a good game. What's the mood? What's the feeling within this group right now with everything that's going on?
Yeah, I'd say I'm trying to find the words to put it correctly, but we're definitely hungry, frustrated as well. So I think in a way, when we're able to find a result and find the way that we're clicking that we want to, it'll feel really good and we'll be able to build off that. It's just hoping to find that sooner rather than later.
You know, what's the importance? You got the win against San Jose, and it didn't seem to carry forward much. But at this point, just to get a win, you know, with everything that's going on with the status, how important is even one win?
Yeah, I mean, 3 points before Leagues Cup would be huge. It would give us a good break in MLS play, ability to train a lot and to get guys, like you said, we have a bunch of guys coming in, so get those guys into the team and implement them and see how they fit in and plug and play. And it just gives us an opportunity for when MLS comes back into play to hopefully have a little bit more rhythm.
Just how unexpected is this? I mean, you're looking at this team coming in and off of last year and improvements, and there was optimism coming this year. Could you see this coming at any point?
No, I wouldn't say so.
Where do you think it went wrong?
No comment.
The back line, obviously with Joachim going out again, what's it? Is it a different cast of characters all the time? How has that been affecting you guys?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I feel terrible for Joachim. You know, I mean, it's really hard to come back from an injury, and to just have it re-triggered it's tough. You know, we're hoping that it's not as bad as the previous one, but yeah, you know, the different cast. It's kind of been a little bit of our MO in terms of rotating guys around and playing different guys. So we hope that there's familiarity in that aspect because we've been able to do it a lot.
We'll go back to Matt.
Tim, have you been on a team that has had this amount of movement go on before and during a transfer window, sending out a couple guys, bringing in 3 more? And what does that do for the dynamic of a locker room, regardless of if you're winning or losing?
I'm not sure, honestly. I've never really tracked that kind of stuff. But I'd say it definitely, like I said, it has the ability to freshen up the locker room. So we're hoping that it freshens up the locker room quite a bit and gives us a little bit of a boost of energy, and hopefully it also wakes us up. You know, I mean, with incoming guys comes incoming competition for places and spots. So hopefully that happens as well.
What have you seen from SKC in their recent form, especially guy like Willie Agata in really good form? What are you expecting from them?
Yeah, I mean, tactically and personnel, we're going to keep that a little bit in-house in terms of what we're expecting, but I think we're going to be able to put out a good performance against them with what we have planned.
Got time for 1 or 2 more. Tom, Matt, if you have any.
All good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Tim, thank you for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.